Tell me what you said right before we started this podcast, please.
My dumbass made a dentist appointment for January 2nd at 8 a.m.
What day of the year did you make this appointment? Did you just do this, or
No,
was
it
this?
was like 6 months ago,
But didn't that come to your mind? All right, I'm going to be a terrible person on December 31st, and then I'm going to be hungover all day on the 1st, and at our age, we're now 2-day hangovers. That didn't cross your mind.
It was past me thinking future me would be just fine. That's future me's problems at that time.
That is future me's
problems. I
problems.
get there and I was like, fuck, now I actually have to deal with it.
And then, so with that being holiday season, and this is our gambling podcast, what's your over-under on number of beers you're going to have between now and January 1?
Oh, geez. It's tough for me because my family doesn't drink as much as yours. Probably 30.
Open that beer. Let's get loaded.
Got her.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Oh, thank you once again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. We are your hosts, Ben Morgan and DJ Primo, and this is our second NFL Week 16 preview podcast. Earlier in the week, we hit on our fantasy football, daily fantasy, stacks, bargains, advice, all that good stuff. And then this one, we're going to be talking about the actual games, our straight-up picks, our against the spread picks, the actual picks that are on our card that we're going to be betting on this week. I just want to hit on that real quick because are you basically off until New Year's, or do you have to go back to work a little while?
I have to go back to work for 3 days next week, and then I'm off until the New Year.
Well, then that cuts into your drinking, because I was going to say, man, depending on how do you do it, man. I mean, you can knock out 15 to 20 beers on New Year's Eve alone.
Oh, yeah, easily. But I'm old now, so it's a little harder, and I'll probably just be drinking in my basement by myself.
Which is going to make that dentist appointment just a terrible experience.
Yeah.
They're going to have you open wide, and they're going to shove that little tiny metal rod down your throat, and you are going to just throw up on them.
I don't throw up. We'll be fine. Fuck it. I'll sleep.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We can get a recap of DJ's dentist appointment. So, like I said, it's Week 16 in the NFL. We're done with Thursday night games. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Sunshine.
No more Thursday night. We got 2 more Saturday games. So let's kick off with those games. We'll go game by game. We'll talk what's going on against the spread, what some over-unders, and what side we like on every single game. Let's start it out with the Titans and the Redskins. What do we have here?
All right. This game is in Tennessee. The Titans are favored by 10 points.
Woo!
And the over-under here is 37 against the Washington Paraplegics here.
Nice. Do you have a feeling one way or the other here?
Well, Derrick Henry will probably run for 250 yards and 17 touchdowns. Redskins, again, paraplegics, they have no quarterbacks with no legs. Is it Josh Johnson now playing quarterback for these idiots?
Josh Johnson.
That is just ridiculous. I thought that guy was 45 years old. God, I'd prefer not to even talk about this game. I'll just say Titans and then move on.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about Derrick Henry, though, man, where is this bad? Come on, 2 weeks in a row, you're just going to run over people and put up these huge yardage
earlier
totals.
In the season. I said this earlier in the season. They're using him the wrong way.
Yeah.
With Deion Lewis, and Deion Lewis is not good. He was good because he played in New England, and they needed to use Derrick Henry how they are now.
Yep.
Everybody thinks Derrick Henry's garbage, and now you actually get to see what he can do when he's actually getting a full gamut of carries. See how big and fast that fucking guy is?
I sort of feel justified, standing up for him the last 2 years. And these last 2 weeks, I know it's not enough to overcome where you picked him if you drafted him in fantasy this year. But, man, you see that potential. It's there. You want to, you kind of want to draft him again next year. And you watch it. Just ignore him until week 15 again. Yeah, I don't want to pick on this game. This isn't a card play for me, but I'm going to go with the Titans. But we can go into a card game for me because that's the later game on Saturday. It's Chargers and Ravens. What do we have there?
This game's in L.A. I almost said San Diego again. The current line is Chargers by 4. The over-under this game is 44. Let's dive into it a little bit. I guess you like this game.
I do.
This one was tough for me. So Ravens, I never like it when the Chargers fly out east. Now this is the opposite here. Baltimore's flying out west. But it is a night game. It's 7 o'clock, 7:20 or whatever that is. So that could help a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous. I know I'm going to side. I don't like the Ravens very much. But I think they could keep this close and have a chance of winning. For that reason, I'm going to side with the Ravens just purely off of defense and a little bit of Lamar Jackson action.
All right, well, we got opposite sides, so if that means anything here, you should probably bet on Baltimore because DJ has won these head-to-head competitions all season. If you remember from last week, I told you that I went through all the games and I handicapped them. I put my spread on them, and I said that the Chargers...
Oh, shit, I forgot to handicap the games.
Yeah, you said you were going to do it. You let down all the listeners.
You should have reminded me.
I had the Chargers at favored by 6 here, and we're getting it at 4. That last week's win for the Chargers was huge. They beat the Chiefs, and now they're tied for first place in the West, and they're also tied for that top overall seed in the AFC. And I think that we would both agree that the Ravens have been kind of a surprise team in the AFC. I think I had them at 4 wins this season in my projections. So a little bit of a surprise there. But I think it's going to get real for them real quick here. They're not playing those cupcakes like the Buccaneers anymore. They've got the Chargers, and then they have a divisional game against the Browns. I think they're going to be on the outside looking in when it's all said and done.
I'm on the outside.
Yeah, we kept the streak alive of 176 consecutive episodes with DJ trying to sing.
I love it.
Let me move on to the Chargers. They're peaking. They're getting healthy at the right time. Melvin Gordon looks to be back. Keenan Allen had that hit pointer last week, but he's looking like he's going to end up playing. And your boy, Mike Williams, the guy that I had a couple of doubts about, is he stepping up or what? He leads the team with 9 reception touchdowns, and he ran one in, so he's got 10 total on the year. So you hit that.
I predicted 8 to 10.
He hit his double digits. But I'm going to build on my momentum from my only win against the spread last week, which came on a Saturday. I'm betting on this Saturday again. 3 units on the Chargers. You might see I'm in a little bit of desperation mode here. I'm bumping up my units a little bit.
Bumping up the units.
Typically a 2-unit guy. I'm going 3 on this one. I like the Chargers.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, let's
next?
Let's move on to some Sunday. We've got the Cowboys and the Buccaneers.
All right. First one, we're on par here. This game's in Dallas. Cowboys are favored by 7 points, and the over-under in this game is 48. I looked at this game. Actually, I just looked at a lot of the spreads, real confused this week. No idea what to do. It was hard for me to pick games, but there was like 3 games I was actually pretty confident in after looking through them. This game I considered because I just don't know if the Cowboys can win a game. They like to keep people in it. I don't know if the Cowboys can win a game by more than 7 points. So as far as the spread goes of 7 here, I would side with the Buccaneers here.
Wow.
I don't think they could I just don't think they can I don't think they could step on the throats of the teams and then hit the gas and just pull away. I just don't think that's what Dallas does.
We're gonna have to go opposites on this one again, but I'd be pissed at myself, and I feel like you'd even be more mad at me if I didn't talk about last week for a second because you went 3-0.
Yeah, I did.
You pumped it out last week. You hit on all 9 of your units, so you're back in the game. You're looking all right here. You're trying to ride that wave. Because if you think about it, Week 16 in the NFL is, we're going to have a podcast next week where we go through all the games, but Week 16 is pretty much your only – it's basically your last regular season week that you want to bet on. Betting on Week 17 is a terrible idea.
You have to find the games that are playoff, meaningful.
Yep, exactly. But I'm gonna go different on this one than you. I'm going to take the Cowboys against the line here. It's not a card play, but I am going to take Dallas. I said on the fantasy preview podcast that I think Zeke is just going to have a field day. I think he's going to run over him, but at the same token, Dak's got that every other game thing going on right now, and this is his time to shine, and I think they're going to try to get the entire offense going. I think it's going to be a Dak, Cooper, Zeke type of game. And on the defensive side of the ball, Tampa Bay has shown that they can score some points this year, but I just don't see it happening this one. I think we're going to see that dominant Dallas defense again. I think they're going to get. I think they're going to create a lot of turnovers. I think you're going to see a big win margin here for Dallas.
Not going to happen.
Next.
Here we go.
Patriots and the Bills.
All right, so this line just moved from 30 minutes ago from when I had it, so I've got to make the adjustment. It actually helps me a little bit more, which is weird. But this is one of my card games. The Patriots are favored by 13.5 at home, and the over-under here is 44.5. Here's what I'm taking. I'm taking the Bills. I'm taking the Bills plus now 13.5. It was plus 13 just an hour ago. I can't see New England blowing out anyone this year anymore. I just can't see it. Offensively, I just don't think they have a defense. They just don't have the guys. Buffalo has one of the top overall defenses in the league. They are top 3 in overall defense, and top 10 in all other categories.
Which is amazing considering how much they're on the field because they're bottom 5 in points per game on offense.
They're so good. New England has been struggling to get anything going offensively, it feels like. The running game, the passing game, and now guess what? They just lost Josh Gordon, which is weird to me because this spread just went up to 13.5. So I thought it would go the other way.
Vegas playing games, man.
Yeah, so that makes me a little nervous. I know New England takes away the opposite team's biggest strength, which right now is Josh Allen running the ball, right?
Yep.
But I just read a stat that New England, this is off the top of my head, New England is one of 10 teams to allow 250 yards rushing to quarterbacks this year, so they haven't been stopping the quarterback run at all.
Right.
They haven't. And I just don't think they have the guys to get that done this year. That's just, it's Belichick's strength, but I don't think he has the guys to do it this year. So they should win, but I'm not even that confident of that. So I'm taking four units in the Bills plus 13.5.
Ooh, it's a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah.
You're trying to really put it over the hump on this last good week. I like it. With it being the holiday season, I think that you should give me a gift, and that all I ask from you is, can I just not pick on this game?
I just did. You have to.
So thanks for being nice to me this holiday season.
Rules are the rules. Them's the rules.
Holidays don't intervene with rules in DJ's household, apparently.
No, I don't.
When I handicapped this one, I put it at Pats minus 10, and I kind of felt gross about that. I'm like, same kind of deal. I'm like, can the Patriots really win at double digits against the Bills and their good defense? I don't know. So for that reason alone, let me jump on board with you. I'll take the Bills. I don't like it. Patriots straight up, Bills against the spread. All right, let's look at the next one. It's the Falcons and the Panthers.
We're rolling now, boys. Carolina is 3.5-point dogs at home with no Cam Newton. Taylor Heineke with the better arm is playing. And the over-under is 44. Go for it. You start.
So this is Panthers minus 3?
Minus 3.5, I believe I said. Yep. No, Falcons minus 3.5.
Oh, Falcons minus 3.5.
Yeah, Panthers are 3.5-point dogs.
Okay, when I handicapped this one, I put the Panthers as 3-point favorites, even without Cam Newton not playing. But what I've seen from the Falcons and what I've seen from the Panthers the second half of the season has been trash. And it makes me think, well, what's happened more recently? Well, the Panthers, you got a brand new quarterback. You've got a guy that I don't really trust at that position. I love Christian McCaffrey. I love what he's doing. Panthers defense has been okay. But at the Falcons, they haven't been playing good, but at least they have some consistent faces that you're seeing, and they did score over 40 last week. I know it was against the Cardinals, but they have an okay pass defense. I just see that carrying over a little bit more than what I see the Panthers being able to do with the brand new quarterback. What did you say his name was? Heineken?
Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, perfect. He sounds like he'd be a good beer. I'm not going to put my marbles in that quarterback's basket. I'm going to take the Falcons here.
I'm actually going to take... I don't like this game because I don't know. I'm seeing little talk of Christian McCaffrey not playing, but I don't know if that's true, if that's going to happen.
It's bowl season, man. He'll skip it.
This line could change dramatically, so I'm just going to say I think the Falcons and Panthers can both score on each other. I'm gonna hit the over on this one.
Okay,
over the 44.
Can respect that.
I don't like the side right now.
Too many question marks.
Yeah, but on Sunday I will be tweeting out again like I did this last week. I will probably add some picks, change some picks, some other picks that I like. So I'll tweet out from the Loaded Box page the games that I'm going to be betting on again. And I did pretty well last week, so I'd follow along.
Unless he's super hungover, then he'll probably forget.
I doubt that'll happen. Maybe I will be. Could, possibly. Who knows?
Let's move on to the Dolphins and the Jaguars. What is Vegas telling us here?
All right, your Miami Dolphins. They opened at 5. They are now 4-point favorites in Miami. And the over-under against the Jaguars, this is a low. I mean, it's a trash fantasy week for championships. This over-under is 38. So we've had an over-under of 38, an over-under of 37. I mean, the highest so far we've done is 48. So, God damn, I don't know what to do. If Blake Bortles is playing, just because Blake Bortles isn't playing, and God, I still hate this. I never trust the Dolphins.
You can't.
I'm going under 38. Under 38 points. Jaguars have a solid defense, but their offense is struggling to score.
Yeah.
The Dolphins they're the worst good team They're not even good. They're just like one of those weird teams that looks like shit, but somehow have a record that's close enough, that's still like fighting to make the playoffs, but they're garbage and everybody knows it. So this could be like a 10-3 game or something like that, or it's 10-7. Either way, it's going under the 38 points.
They're the same exact team every year. I saw this on Twitter. So they're 7-7 this season. In their last 38 games, they're 19-19. In their last 46 games, they're 23-23.
Oh my God!
And in their last 84 games, they're 42-42.
Kill me.
How
do you survive life like that?
Yeah, it gets better. Over their last 132 games, they are 66-66. They are fucking stuck. Get rid of Gase. Get rid of Tannehill. But I'm going to take him against the spread this week. It's not an official play, but man, I just can't believe in that Jaguars offense right now. And I just think maybe the Dolphins can get lucky with like a pick six. But yeah, this game has got like 14-9, 14-10 written all over it. So I don't mind your under, but yeah, give me the Dolphins for some stupid reason.
That's wild.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Like you can't handle that mediocrity because it's like you're almost there, but you know you're never going to be there.
Yeah.
You're stuck with the same quarterback and the same shitty coaches every year.
Yep.
It's obviously becoming like an ownership GM problem because they can't get off of this mediocre, and you don't get better and you don't get worse. Nope. You just stay the same. That's like the ultimate. That's literally like it's between heaven and hell?
Purgatory.
It's purgatory. Yeah. That's what you live in right now. It's even worse than hell, I think.
Yeah, it's
like go one way or the other.
It's exactly what you said, though, because it's like, okay, maybe you sort of believe in the coaching staff and the quarterback, but not quite there. And it's the same thing. You don't draft high enough to get that elite quarterback prospect, or you just pass on them because you don't need them. You don't think you need them. It's hell.
Look, the Packers are a better football team than the Dolphins. I wholeheartedly believe that. They're shitty, but they're better. Oh, yeah. And they're going to end up with a better draft pick.
It's ridiculous. I hate the Dolphins right now.
Because they just stay right. I mean, the AFC is obviously shittier than the NFC, but still.
Let's be done talking about Cody Kessler and Ryan Tannehill, and let's move on to a couple of maybe future Hall of Famers here. Eli Manning and Andrew Luck. We got Colts and Giants this week.
I hate that you just called Eli Manning a future Hall of Famer. I'd rather die. As you expect, the Colts here are favored by 9 points. The over-under here is 46.5. They are playing in Indianapolis. Odell Beckham Jr., according to ScoresAndOdds.com, is doubtful. Saquon had a down game last week. Again, this Colts defense is very underrated. Like I said last week against the Cowboys. So I'm going to keep riding this hot Colts team all over the place. The offensive line is so goddamn good. Again, the Giants' strength is the same as the Cowboys, really. Like, it's getting pressure up front there. I think their secondary is a little bit weaker. I can't see Andrew Luck's gonna have all day to pick people apart. They might blow the Giants out of the water in this game. I'm the Colts on this one. This
feels like a 4-touchdown performance out of Luck. Like you're talking about like how we've had some crappy like championship matchups for fantasy. Well, I think
they need to make the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. And I think if you have Andrew Luck and a guy like T.Y. Hilton, if he plays, man, that's the exact matchup that you want. Like that's the guy you want in this matchup. So I think Luck's going to have a big day. And I'll admit it, I was wrong last week. I took the Cowboys against the spread. It was a card play for me over the Colts.
I smashed you.
You really did. I was
I think
really,
I 5-united that game too.
And I was really confident with Dallas in that one too because of their defense. And I had said, I think the Colts defense is getting propped up by their opponents. I thought Dallas's offense would be able to expose them a little bit. Well, guess what? They scored 0 points, so there was no exposing. So it's not an official play, but yeah, I'm gonna take the Colts. They could win this one by double digits.
I might end up betting them. Yeah. Stay tuned to Sunday though.
I don't mind that. Maybe I'd buy a point.
Honestly, now that the Packers aren't in the playoffs, I need them to get in the playoffs, and I want this team to be. Andrew Luck deserves, after everything he went through and all the criticism people got and thinking he's not going to be good. Yeah. I've backed that guy ever since he was injured, saying he's going to be a top quarterback. Coming into the season, he's going to be a top quarterback, and he is. He is he potentially is like an MVP the way he's played.
Well, it shows how important that position is because what were they last year? I mean, nothing. They add Quentin Nelson. And what else on that team is different other than like they got that good linebacker they got Pro Bowl snub, I forgot his name.
Yeah, Darius Leonard.
Yeah, so they made some nice improvements, but yeah, I mean, it just shows you. Are they where they are right now with anyone besides Andrew Luck? Not a chance.
No,
Yeah.
but they need to make the Super Bowl. I'm going to cheer for them so hard if they make the playoffs.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that one. Let's move on to the Texans and the Eagles.
All right, so another card game for me.
Oh, me too. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, you are. I peeked at yours here. So Carson Wentz is out, as everybody knows. Big Dick Nick is in there. The spread changed. The Eagles are favored by 1.5 now.
What?
What did we have? The Eagles are now favored by...
I had it at 2.
I had it at 2 as well.
All right, I can change that. I'm cool with that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference to me because I had the Texans winning the game. But anyways, and the over-under is 45.5. Why don't you go ahead? We both have it, so it doesn't matter who goes first.
Yeah. You talked about the Eagles. I know they had that big win last week over everyone's favorite Rams team on prime time. Everyone got to see it. I'm sticking with my theory, though, that I don't think Jared Goff is quite as good as everyone was claiming him to be.
Jared Goff.
And what his early numbers looked like. I mean, the guy looked like the MVP.
Yeah, Jared Goff isn't that good.
What?
You said Jared Goff.
Oh.
I'm just giving you shit.
No.
Jared Goff doesn't.
That's what I'm saying, though.
We can talk about Jared Goff if you want.
I do want to talk about Jared Goff. I'm not wrong here. The Eagles beat the Rams with Jared Goff is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
But I'm sticking behind my theory that I don't think Jared Goff is all that good. You can see holes in that Rams offense when they take away Gurley, when they take away those deep shots. Like, there are holes, and it's because of Jared Goff. Now you're on to the Texans. Here we go. Now I'll start talking about this week.
Gotcha.
The door is open for the Texans. They are still in play, believe it or not, for a top seed to get a bye. Especially the Chiefs have to travel to Seattle this week. And if the Texans can win this one, and if the Chiefs lose, both would be tied at 11-4. This game is, obviously, you said it's in Philly. Texans are 5-2 away from home. And I know in Philadelphia you actually get a bit of a home field advantage. But, man, just like me and you are, we're big college basketball guys. Just like we say in March, Cinderella doesn't fit. I think the Cinderella season, the whole Nick Foles thing for the Eagles, I think that's done. I don't like it. I know they still have a shot at the playoffs, but I think that dream season is over. I think Nick Foles is going to return to the mean. That's math terminology in case you weren't aware of it. But I'm going to take the Texans as against the spread winners, as straight-up winners. Another 3-unit play. It's desperate time. Give me Deshaun Watson.
Speaking of Jared Goff, now that you were actually talking about him and I jumped in, that guy, I think he's a good quarterback. I wouldn't say he's not good. I think he's a good quarterback. But he needs to work on when he gets pressured. That guy can, when he has to move off the spot, It is a disaster.
Yep.
Like, I know you could say lots of quarterbacks would be great under protection, but he makes very accurate throws as well when he's protected well. But I watched him run. There was one play where he was rolling out to the right and he decided, shit, I should run. He might be slower than Peyton Manning when he was about to retire. He took off, and I put up a tweet that said, live look at Jared Goff trying to take off and run. I put up a tweet of a giraffe that was just born trying to walk because his legs and arms went everywhere, and right when he started to run, I was like, this is a fucking disaster. He needs to just fall over. It's like he looks like Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady runs better than Jared. I've never seen anything like that. It was so bad. He looks so unathletic when he has to move out of the pocket.
That's the thing. When the offense was clicking and they're in a position where he can succeed in the pocket and get those receivers open, yeah, he's fine. That's a great system right there. And like I said, I think Goff is fine. He's still young. Like, he still has room to grow and improve on that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's not there quite now. And once you said you get him off of the spot, man, that is not good.
It's a disaster. I'm also on Houston plus 1.5 at Philly. I might change. This is my least confident bet. I might change it now that we're both on it. I have the right to change this on Sunday. But right now, this is what I'm going with. Houston plus 1.5. Houston right now is the 2 seed, and they in the AFC playoffs right now. So they've got essentially a bye right now and home field until if they would face whoever the 1 seed, the Chiefs would be.
Well, I think it's the Chiefs and the Chargers. It's the Chiefs and the Chargers right now. But
the Chargers and the Chiefs are in the same division.
That's the thing, though. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, they basically get it.
Yeah, anyways, so right now Houston's the 2 seed. I'm not under the Nick Foles spell. That's who I thought you were talking about originally when you said Jared Goff.
No.
So I'm not going to buy into that. I
Nope.
believe that Vegas thinks people are going to buy into that, and that's why they're favored by 1.5 now, which just went down. And I know I dogged Houston, and I've dogged Deshaun Watson, but DeAndre Hopkins is going to fucking eat this secondary up. The Eagles' secondary are just as decimated, if not even worse off decimated than the Packers' secondary. And Watson, he has the ability to run away from that front seven rush of the Eagles. I think the Texans win this game, but I'm only putting 3 units. That's my lowest unit of the week. Same as you, 3 units.
Yep. So we're both on it. Before we move on to the next one, let's talk about Pristine Action real quick. A sponsor of the podcast. I've got daily auctions packed full of tons of stuff for the man cave. They guarantee their items. They all come with certificates of authenticity from the trusted sources. It's affordable. A lot of people don't think you can afford it, but it's much more affordable than you'd think. It's quick and free, easy to register. Free to bid, you only pay when you win. Make sure that you mention the Loaded Box podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section when you register. So head over to pristineauction.com today. And with that, let's move on to the Vikings and the Lions.
All right, we've got all my games now, so this will be my last card game here. The Vikings are playing in Detroit. In the Dome. I guess they both play in domes. The Lions are 6-point home dogs. The Vikings are favored by 6. And the over-under is 42.5. I love this game. I love it. This is my favorite, most confident bet of the weekend. Okay? I'm taking Detroit, obviously. Plus 5 versus Minnesota at home. Minnesota is coming off of a big win, where they kind of just destroyed the Dolphins. It seemed like the Dolphins were going to make a comeback there for a little bit, and then it didn't work. But Minnesota is one of the most inconsistent teams in the league from week to week. They are only, they are only 2-4, I guess I can't say much, but they're only 2-4-1 on the road, while they play much better at home with a record of 5-2. Kirk Cousins also plays much worse in games he must win. Like, they're going for a playoff wildcard spot, right? They have to win. That's when Kirk Cousins plays his worst. It just really is. The Lions will be playing loose, trying to play spoilers on the Vikings. They want to win this game badly as well, just because they want to see the Vikings in the playoffs. It's a conference matchup. You want to win this. Also, Detroit, people don't know, very underrated, sneaky, great defense, and specifically against the pass. They're only 11th in total yards given up against the pass right now. I think Minnesota struggles to score. They will lose this game. They will lose this game. So you know what? You know what that means? Sprinkle a little bit on that money line for the Lions. Sprinkle a little on that money line. 5 units I'm going. And I might double up and parlay this game. I like the under. I think there's going to be little scoring in this game.
Wow, I'm not near as confident either way as you are on this one. I actually would just pass on this in general, so it's obviously not a card play. I'm just looking at the Lions here recently, and they've won their last 2.
It's 6 points now, so I get another point.
Yeah, 6 points. And I actually handicapped this one right on the dot, so you're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Lions have won their last 2 against the spread, but those were against the Cardinals and the Bills, and they lost that game to the Bills straight up.
Remember when they lost to the Bills?
Do you remember when they lost to the Bills? Vikings?
Yeah. And that was at home.
I hate this game. I don't want to talk about it that much. I'm going to let you have your thunder on this one, but I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to take the Vikings just to be on the opposite side of you because it's a 5-unit play.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Packers and the Jets.
All right. This one is in New York, New Jersey. New York. The Jets are 3-point dogs at home. The over-under is 47. I mean, I'm not carding this game at all. Who knows what's going to happen? Aaron Rodgers is going to play, it sounds like. He wants to play. He's demanding. Philbin's trying to play the smooth, I think he should play thing. No, you just want to play so he wins. You guys win, and you feel like you have a chance of getting the head coaching job. You're not getting it. You're done. You're out. You're over.
Yep.
Get the fuck out of Green Bay. He's not working there anymore. I guess I'm going to have to go with the Packers in this game just because Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing. That's it. I feel like he's going to come out with fire still. If he's playing, he's going to be playing hard.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have any jobs to save at this point. He'll probably go for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. His best game all year.
I almost carded this one, and then I was starting to type it and put it down as one of my actual games because I actually put the Packers at -6. I thought it was going to be a bigger spread, and I was like, oh man, if I'm getting them at a field goal, this seems like a bargain. I have to do it. And I'm like, you know what? Vegas knows more than I do. There's something to this game. The Packers offense just hasn't been there this year. And now you take away Aaron Jones. You take away that defensive front. You talked me out of it because of what you said about that defensive front. All the main guys for the Packers basically are out in that sense. So not that the Jets have a ton of talent offensively outside of Darnold. I mean, Is Robbie Anderson going to tear him apart? Is Elijah McGuire going to tear him apart? I don't think they blow him out. But at the same token,
I don't think those guys tear anyone apart.
I don't think they tear anyone apart. Exactly. But with how decimated that defense is, I'm just like, you know what? It wouldn't totally shock me if the Jets won that game. So I can't bet it against the spread. But for the sake of we have to pick, I'll take the Packers since it is that line. But that's what talked me out of carding it.
Beautiful.
Next, we got the Browns and the Bengals.
The last time these two played, the Browns just destroyed the Bengals in this game. So it's in Cleveland. The Browns are favored. Who thought we would see this ever in our lifetime?
The Browns favored?
No, the Browns favored by 9 points.
Favored in general.
They're almost double-digit favorites. The over-under in this game is 44.5. I can't see myself betting the side on this one, being the Browns are favored by so much.
Yeah.
And the Bengals have been kind of all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. I think there's going to be a ton of scoring in this game. 44.5. I think there could be 60 points in this game. I can see both teams ending up in the 30s. I can't believe this is only 44.5. There must be a weather thing I haven't seen. So based on if the weather is normal and good, I would probably smash the over in this game.
What scares me about that, because I kind of thought the same thing right away, but then when I looked at it, it's like, okay, the Bengals without Dalton have been relying on Mixon. They've given him 25-plus carries the last 2 weeks. That's going to eat up the clock. They haven't had A.J. Green. I already said no Dalton. Now Tyler Boyd's out. I don't know who the hell they're throwing the ball to. Andrew _? Erickson? Like that? Is that who they have? Like Alex Erickson? Like is that literally who they're throwing the ball to at this point? I don't even know. You got John Ross. If he's healthy in this game, he'll be out by the first quarter because he'll just be like, everyone else is hurt. I got to get back on that.
Fuck it.
Get back on that. So, yeah, man, Browns just steamrolled them last time. Baker threw, I think, what did we say last week? Like four passes in an entire second half.
Oh, yeah, the second half, yeah.
I don't think the Bengals are terrible, both against the run and the pass. It could be a huge day for Chubb, for Johnson, for Callaway, for Landry. I love Baker. Just by that alone, man, like I hate double digits, but I have to take the Browns. I have to do it.
It's never a huge day for Chubb, if you know what I'm saying.
It's always a huge day for Chubb.
Never.
All right, let's look at the Rams and the Cardinals.
I'm so glad you followed the list this time. The Cardinals, they're playing in Arizona. The Cardinals are 14-point dogs. Holy cow. And the over-under is 44. You know what? I thought the Rams, I'm really upset with the Rams. I thought they were going to fucking just blow the Eagles out of the water last week. It looked like the Eagles should have been 14-point favorites during that game. Like, throughout the entire game, they were just kicking their ass. I honestly thought the Rams were going to literally come back and win that game. It just felt like it's going to go that way.
Oh, it did feel that way the whole time. Yeah.
What?
It did feel that way. The entire fourth quarter, you're like, all right, they're coming back. They're winning this.
Yeah. And they had a chance there at the end. I was like, they're going to do it, aren't they? This is going to be so stupid. But they didn't. 14 points is a lot of points. I don't know what the Rams are doing or how good they're going to play here. Todd Gurley's probable. I can't see myself. I mean, they just got their shit pushed in by the Falcons.
Yep.
The Cardinals did. So you got to ride the Rams again.
Yep.
I fool me once, fool me twice. If I get fooled on this time, fuck the peace side. Load the chopper, let it rain on you.
I hate this game. I handicapped it at Rams -10. Yeah, you're going to make me have to pick.
Are you scared to go above 10 when you handicap?
No. Wait. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
after
You've
second
had two
thought.
10-point games.
I have. I hate picking a team by double digits, but yeah, I mean the Cardinals just got run over by the Falcons, and the Falcons' offense has kind of been a little bit. I mean, they've been fine, but a little bit hit or miss, and then they can't get anything going offensively, just nothing at all. So I feel like if the Rams are ever going to bounce back, and I don't mind the Rams' defense still. Like I think it has potential, obviously with Darnold, with what do I call him? Donald, Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh, and I think like playing against the rookie and Josh Rosen, I feel like Marcus Peters or Aqib Talib, someone in that secondary. I mean, they're going to get like 3 or 4 interceptions in this game. They'll probably house one. If you can give me an extra touchdown on defense or special teams, then you can cover that spread. By default, I have to go for the Rams here. I can't bet on the Cardinals. Sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly my mindset, and they just got their shit pushed in by a terrible.
Not a good team. I'm actually betting on this next game. It's the Bears and the 49ers. What do we have?
All right, so this game is in San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo's out, for your information.
FYI.
49ers are 4-point dogs at home, and the over-under is 43 points. I looked at this line, and it reminded me of the Seahawks line. It was another line I thought was going to be a little bit bigger. I gave you guys the 49ers last week. It wasn't a card game, but I also said sprinkle a little on that money line for the 49ers because the line seemed shady, and I didn't like it. And I was right because I was uncomfortable. So you know what I was?
Comfortable.
I was comfortable. You got it.
Finally got it.
I don't think the spread should be that small. I think it's still too small to make any sense. It should be at least 6 or 7 points. I don't care if it's in San Francisco. For that reason, I've got to go with the 49ers. There's a couple of lines every week where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm going on the side that seems, the opposite side seems right. And the opposite side of that is the 49ers. I got to take the 49ers as the dogs here.
So like I said, this is the final game of my 3 actual bets that I'm taking. And what you said about that last week's game, how it didn't feel right. But I think last week was a blessing. The 49ers beating the Seahawks moved this line. That helped this one. I like the Bears in this one as long as it's anything under 7. And that's how comfortable I am with this one. I handicapped this one perfectly. I said it would be Bears by 4, so I'm not quite as shocked by the line as what you were. But the Bears have that division wrapped up. They're still somewhat in play, though, for that first-round bye, so I don't see them taking this game lightly. And in that game, that 49ers-Seahawks game last week, that was a terrible loss for Seattle after the way they just handled the Vikings. But, man, did you see Seattle set like a franchise record, or it was the most penalty yards they've had in a game since like the 90s? They basically shot themselves in the foot in that entire game. So I'm not quite sure how much stock I want to put quite into that. Bears defense is legit. They're going to get to Nick Mullins. They're going to expose that offense. Take away Kittle, and I like their chances in this one. I don't think they'll have an issue winning this one by a touchdown.
Do you notice?
Go ahead. What?
The Niners are playing. It's just like last year. I don't know if you remember last year, but they're playing their best football at the end of the year. And guys are wide fucking open. Like, guys are wide open, coming wide open on that offense. It's ridiculous. Like, Shanahan is, I wish he was the Packers coach at this point because he's scheming shit to find guys wide open. I can't go against that right now.
Well, and he's so strapped with his playmakers too. Obviously, the quarterback that he was planning on isn't there. The running back they planned on leaning on isn't there.
Austin Pettis is playing out of his mind right now.
Playing good, but I'm on the other side though. I'm still on the other side of this one. I think Trubisky does just enough, like he always does. I think Cohen, like what you said in Daily Fantasy, I think he busts a big one. I think Jordan Howard eats that clock. Man, you know he's always good for 20 carries, 60 yards. That shit's going down. Bears for 2 units.
You see San Francisco's defense has shot way up in the rankings.
In the rankings recently?
They're top 20 in defensive, overall defense now.
Interesting.
Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm taking the Bears. Let's go on to the Saints and the Steelers. Game of the week.
Yeah. I almost carded this game as well, but I decided not to just because I got scared. But this game matters, right? Both these teams are playing for some shit in their conferences. Saints are at home. It's in New Orleans. 6-point favorite. Saints are 6-point favorites, so they're favored by 6 points, and the over-under is 53 points, which I think might be so far the highest over-under we've seen. Ben has disappeared from the YouTube screen. This one's tough for me. I don't want to do the over just because the Saints have played. Well, I think it's the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks or something like that have been the number 1 overall defense in football.
Yeah, they're giving up 12 good per game.
I actually think the Saints. See, I almost took the Saints on this, so I'm going to stick with that just because I didn't card it, but that's the side I was on. I could see the Saints literally beating them by 25 points in this game, beating the Steelers by a ton in this game because Roethlisberger didn't look good at all against the not good New England defense. The game that they won, but he should have been better. He just should be better at home against the Patriots. It's no excuse. So
it's in New Orleans, right?
Yes.
Once again, I handicapped this one. I'm going to pat myself on the back while I can. I put it perfectly at 6. But it's all the stats that we talked about on the podcast earlier this week with the Saints and how just they haven't really been there on offense recently, especially that passing game. It's Mike Thomas, his numbers have been dropping. It's Drew Brees, his numbers have been dropping. But, man, you look at the Steelers, and it comes back to Ben Roethlisberger playing on the road. And this is one of those games where I think sometimes playing home and road is a little bit overblown. But when you play in a place like New Orleans, I think that's a distinct home field advantage. And with Ben Roethlisberger's track record on the road, I don't like it. If you can keep this one at that 6.5 mark, I don't mind the Saints. It's not an official play, but I'm with you. I mean, that Saints offense is too good to continue to be held down. And I know the Steelers have a good defense, but man, the Saints eventually are going to break out of this funk. They're going to get hot at the right time as the playoffs hit. It's got to start soon. It's got to start soon, and I think this is a good team to do it against. So I'm going to take the Saints as well.
I'm playing Street for the Cash on ESPN. Who do you think's going to win, the Holy Cross Crusaders or the Canisius Golden Griffins?
Is this basketball or football?
I guess it's basketball.
Oh, Holy Cross then. Easy.
That's who
Easy.
I chose.
Book
I
it.
just had to say it because the name of the Canisius Golden Griffins is one of the coolest fucking names
It's a terrible
ever.
name.
What is a Golden Griffin? Is that like a fictional character?
It's like a Harry Potter deal.
I'm going to look up a Golden Griffin.
I don't know if that's accurate or
not.
not. We have got one more game on the schedule. It's the final game of Week 16, and it's the Seahawks and the Chiefs. What do we have here?
That just seems like a false narrative that you just said.
Why?
Is it the final game, really, of the week, or is there a Monday night game?
I thought that was the Monday night game.
Chiefs and the Seahawks are Sunday night.
Well, I missed one on my schedule.
The Broncos and the Raiders are Monday night.
Oh, yeah, they are. That's how little I care about the Raiders this year.
Jesus Christ.
All right,
I'm
the
looking
last
at
game
Golden
of
Griffin.
Sunday.
You can't even get the goddamn games right.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, so Sunday night, the Chiefs are playing at the Seahawks. The spread is Seahawks are 2.5-point dogs at home, and the over-under is another sultry 54.5. What do you like?
I almost carded this one, but I got scared. I got scared in this one. You said the Chiefs are favored by 2.5?
Yes.
I want it to be like 3.5. I thought actually they were going to get up to 4. That's what I handicapped it at. But I do like Seattle here, especially against the spread. Like I said, just wish I was getting a little bit more. And I am going to pick Seattle straight up in this one. I just think Seattle's going to be a tough place to go into. I don't want to say that the Chiefs have been exposed, but it just seems like they're a little bit banged up. Defenses have caught on. It's not stopping them because they have enough talent. Like they can overcome pretty much any defense. But man, Seattle just annihilates Minnesota. Just stops anything they want to do. Then they followed up with a terrible performance, one of their worst of the season against the 49ers. If they want to have a bounce back, you got to do it against the best. And I think this is a home game, primetime game. You're getting points. Russell Wilson is in every single game. He keeps every single one close. Give me the points here. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Yeah, this one is tough. Whoa, did you hear my bag? I'm echoing.
Uh-oh.
Anyways.
Ad lib.
I don't know. It threw me off. I'm back, though. Anyways, the Chiefs, their defense just isn't good. And I feel like the Seahawks are going to be able to kind of march up and down the field on them. I don't like this game at all. I wanted this game, you know what? I like points, right? When I get nervous about a line and I see two high-scoring teams like this, I'm going over. Give me all the points. Give me more points. I want Sunday Night Football. I want points on points on points. Life's too short to bet the under. Let's go over that 54.5.
Nice. I can get behind it. It's a primetime game. We're all going to be watching it. Hopefully it's good and high scoring.
So a golden griffin is a mythical creature with the head of an eagle and the body of a lion.
Man, that's a lot to wrap around my head. I got to think about that one for a while. Don't bet on them. Bet on Holy Cross.
That's a wild one. All right, last game.
All right, I wasn't ready for this, but apparently there's a Monday night game this week, and it's the Broncos and the Raiders.
All right, the Broncos are at the Raiders. The Broncos are 3-point favorites on the road against Oakland. And the over-under is 43.5. You know, flip a coin. I mean, it's Monday night, right? So if you're reeling, you're trying to catch up from the weekend, you're lost all your bets, you're trying to make a bunch of money back on this game, you have to take a side. That's what you do, right? You're a gambler, you're a degenerate, you're losing money. Monday night shows up, you're like, fuck, I gotta try to make some. You gotta take one. Fuck it, bet on the Raiders here. They're gonna be airing it out. They're gonna play loosey-goosey. Broncos are missing a bunch of guys. Fuck it. I think the Raiders just have put on an air show here.
I am going to wrap up my analysis on this one, and you are going to know which team I pick based on 2 words.
Okay.
Nathan Peterman.
He's not even the starting quarterback.
Doesn't matter. If he's on your roster, it's historically a proven fact that if he's on your roster, you are not going to do well. The Bills got rid of him all of a sudden. They've won a couple of games. Nathan Peterman, say no more. Take the Broncos. Not an official play.
That's 3 words.
Clearly not an official play because I was not prepared whatsoever for that game. That one came out of left field.
Jesus Christ.
I think that's all we have for this podcast. You want to add anything else?
I got no more songs to sing.
Fair enough. Well, thanks again once again for listening to the Loaded Box podcast. As always, check us out on Twitter at Loaded Box. If you have any start-sit questions prior to your fantasy football championship matchup, go ahead and ask us there. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. All of our podcasts are there. All of our blogs are there. We'll be back next week to preview Week 17. But in the meantime, enjoy Week 17, your last great week to bet on football. So forget what I said about 2 and 3 units. Max out every single game. Go all in. Do it. Get some holiday presents for your loved ones after all your winnings. DJ, send us out.
Cheers. Bye.